What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the All Things Geekery podcast. It's episode number 9 for us, and we're going to be talking about Destiny 2, the beta, and all of the goodies that we took away. I'm your host, Detached.
Hey guys, and I'm Victus. Let's start the show.
All right, guys. Well, we are back with episode number 9. It has been a minute or two since we have done some recording because we have been fairly busy in life, but we've also been fairly busy in the gaming world as well. Both Victus and I have been pretty active with staying in touch with our gaming fingers and our trigger fingers, and we've been playing some Destiny, we've been playing some Halo, but most importantly, we jumped into the Destiny 2 beta, and we got some pretty good time, and we were able to touch on a lot of the different things that they gave us. Now, for a beta, they didn't give us a lot, but I think they gave us enough to just wet our whistle and kind of make us want the game even more.
Yeah, I think they gave us a beta. They gave us what they needed to get the job done. For all those that think it needed more stuff into it, well, buy the full game.
Yeah, all that noise was so annoying. I heard more people complaining about what they didn't get instead of just enjoying what they got. It's a brand new game. It's not supposed to be a continuation per se of Destiny, even though it is. This is a brand new fresh start. They've kind of wiped the slate clean, and honestly, what we got in the beta is what I feel they wanted Destiny to actually be. But the technology just wasn't there yet.
Absolutely. I mean, for what we got amazing. You know, we got a opening story mission that like threw the story at us. We got a strike, and we got to wet our whistle with a little bit of PvP in there, and that all was, I think, put there specifically to test each one of those sections that's going to be in Destiny.
Yeah, honestly, jumping in, I kind of liked the way that they just dropped you immersively into the story. They opening title screen that just kind of gives you the ooey gooeys and kind of gives you the chills. When I saw the hunter, I was just like, oh, look at the shiny boots. I wanted the shiny boots. I wanted the armor. Though we got armor from PvP and some of the missions, I'm like, no, I'm sticking with what I got because it looked so good. It really did. So I'm a hunter by main. I love that class. I always will. It's just something about that class that is fun to play. And it's across pretty much any game that has a class selection, I've noticed, whether it's an MMO, an RPG, whatever it is, if they have some type of hunter or an agile class like a rogue or an assassin, I tend to favor that class more than your tanks or maybe your wizards and magic mage classes. It's just something about that style. And Destiny 2 was no different for me, hopping in on the hunter and jumping right into the beloved tower where all our junk was blown up. And it was just kind of this, oh, whoa, look at this place moment. It was really cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, coming right off what we saw in all the trailers, it was basically that first mission that they dissected and put in different order pieces. I didn't actually, I kept myself from watching some of the previews that some people got to play out at the different conferences. And so getting to be able to just play that opening scene where the tower's attacked and you see a little bit extra dialogue you've never seen before. And then apparently your guardian was out on a mission. And I was always wondering how they were going to play into that in coming back and, couldn't communicate with the tower. They, didn't know what's going on. All of a sudden, boom, you're there. The Vanguard area is gone. And that's where they pop you.
Absolutely decimated. Yeah. So I think out of everything in that story mission, what was the funniest is when you finally came up to the actual tower where the vault space he used to be. I don't know if you could, but as you're walking up the steps, you remember the famed ball? Did you see it?
I didn't see it, no.
The ball is on the steps. It's been squashed and deflated, and it's just kind of lifeless and dead on the steps now.
That's right. I do remember seeing a shape like that. And it was interesting seeing all those things you spent so much time around, and they're gone.
and
It's
they're
all gone.
gone. Yeah, even though it's a game, and we've got real lives outside of this. We've got families, we've got kids now, and that is something that I cherish dearly. But gaming is just a part of who I am. It always has been, and I think Destiny as a whole has done a very good job of taking the player and saying, "Hey, come with me on this journey. I want you to be a part of it." And even as I hate to say it, even as bad as Vanilla Destiny really was, it was a blast and it was still immersive, and it was a lot of fun to be sucked into that world. And Destiny 2 seems to be 1,000-fold above what Vanilla even started at.
Right. I mean, right off the bat, we're thrown into an actual storyline that is not. It's pretty straightforward. Cabal attacked. You then have to rescue everyone and defeat the Cabal. Okay, great. At least we know what we're doing this time.
Yeah, there's no broken story there by any means. I think we've got a pretty straight shot.
Yeah, I mean, that now is paired with something that has been improved on, and that's, you take now what's going to be, and so far it's looking like it's going to be a good story combined with what has already been in place, which is great gameplay itself. If you take the story away, the game by itself, Destiny 1, and they're now improving on even more in Destiny 2, very smooth gameplay that made it even faster paced with some of the abilities that you now have. So
yeah, I do like what they did with the pace of the game. That felt very nice. Again, I've still got some toss-ups, and there's always going to be pluses and minuses, and I think that's the best part of the game, is you may sacrifice one to gain in the other, but that again, it's just change in general. That happens in life. And whether it's a game, whether it's real life, I like the fact that they said, hey, we've got a great base foundation. We're keeping our warlocks, we're keeping our titans, we're keeping our hunters, but we're revamping the whole system of how they function. The first time I jumped into the hunter and then got to actually look at the Arcstrider and look at kind of his menu system, I loved how Destiny, all right, we're going to take all of that, all the foundational stuff that's awesome, all the stuff that's not used, it's just going to kind of be dumped out to the window or revamped and pulled into another function. And I think that really played well into what they did for the beta. Like we said, they gave us that first mission. That first mission was actually pretty long, too. It took a while to get through. I think mainly for me, it was because I was spending all my time running around looking at all the stuff, looking at the damage and looking at what the Cabal really looked like. And that's something that I liked. They put so many homages to Destiny 1 in D2 so far. Different things that are fun to look at, different things that we enjoyed in Destiny 1 have made their way back in, but they may not be story plots. They may be little subtle hints here and there. My favorite part of that first mission was for down by where the speaker originally was, and you turn around and now that door to the back of the city opened up, and you get to see this whole new area of the tower, to where that used to be an area that we as our clan even went back and said, hey, can we glitch into this area? Can we make it up there?
Right. I mean, that's, even though I ran a Titan and I'd like to run face first into things, I didn't even get the actual battle until several minutes into the actual mission. I kept looking at things. I was like, ooh, look at this. Oh, wow, this is just right. What was this part before? Oh, this was the door. Getting to see all the changes that are happening in the tower. Mm-hmm. And we may come back to the tower, we may not. It may rebuild if they build the story up to that point, but for all intents and purposes, we may never come back to that tower. It may just kind of sit there as whatever. It could be a reminder, a memorial that might do something that way, but and also kind of saying goodbye to everything there. It was also the starting of a new era.
Yeah, and that's kind of the direction that I lean. I really feel like that mission was us saying, all right, we've had our time here. We did the best we could. We tried to protect it. Something has happened. I still think internally somebody had to have given the Cabal a note that that's what they were supposed to attack. I really do. So I'm curious to see where that piece of the story comes in.
Telling you, Speaker just mysteriously disappears during a Cabal invasion. He says he killed. I'm thinking inside game here, but prove me wrong.
There were a lot of YouTubers and a lot of different theories running around the social spaces about the Speaker being this evil entity, and this was a whole setup to gain trust amongst the people, and his plan was to destroy the Guardians and rule the world. But what was really funny, I was looking on Reddit a couple of weeks ago. Actually, it's been more like 2 months ago now. But they had a list of actors that were actually playing parts in Destiny 2. And all the famous people, your beloved Cade Six is back. And, the main actor who plays him, it doesn't matter really what he plays. He's played voice actors in games like Halo, Destiny, or the beloved series of Castle. He's just good. He's fun. He's got that witty sense of humor, and that really brought a lot to the game. And then you had really serious people like Shax. He's got the big, wicked British voice that was really deep and booming, and anything he said kind of made you cower in fear, right? You had people like the Speaker. You had a lot of things in that realm that I thought brought a lot of attention to Destiny and how they did it. Now, looking into that list, some of those voice actors have made it back into Destiny 2, and they even plopped Bill Nye's character in there as coming back for the Speaker. And apparently there was a little sub-brief in there about the Speaker having a much larger role.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of dead giveaway to figure out. Maybe he's not dead. Something's happened to him. But I mean, we'll find out once we get to hopefully play the many story missions of Destiny 2, not including the DLC.
And see, that's the other crazy thing is, so we've got the game launching in like 25 days? Oh, once this pod's out, maybe sooner. Depends on how soon I can get it out here. But we've got the full game, which is going to be an absolute crap ton of content to burn through. And you're always going to have those people who want to jump into the game and burn it as fast as they can. Now, I guess my question for those people would be, this is a brand new game. You've never seen it before. Destiny 1 burnt a lot of people, so they probably got tired of it. I think they probably left the game. Is Destiny 2 going to offer enough new shiny things that it's going to attract those people back to try the game out? And if they do come back and try it out, will they still have that bitter taste enough in their mouth from Destiny 1 that they don't even give Destiny 2 a fair shot? They basically just throw it in the trash and go, they haven't changed anything, it's still the same.
Oh, I mean, there's going to be people like that. I think if they focus enough on the story and adjust what needs to be ingested in PvP, they'll be able to win most of them back. We're already seeing some of the adjustments being made and increases in diversity to assist with the extra content. And what we saw in just the intro to the Cabal themselves. We saw different flavors of Cabal. I mean, we were used to all right, you had the main one, the shield guys, the scions, and then you had the centurions in the back. And that was basically it. There wasn't a whole lot of diversity to that, except for maybe in the raids a little bit. But now, just playing a normal story mission, I saw multiple different flavors, including now a flamethrower guy.
Yeah, that piece was very cool. That, and I really kind of liked what they did with the scions too. To me, the scions were like this useless trash mob that basically took up time in the game in Destiny 1. And now in Destiny 2, they actually were like a legitimate bad guy that you had to watch out for with those blasted sniper rifles, those laser beams, or whatever the crap they were shooting you. There were multiple times I was running through and I was focused on taking out this large mob of Cabal, and then here comes this laser beam sniper shot to the side of the temple. Done. And I was gone.
Yeah, I mean, it goes into, are we going to see some of the original Scion come back, or is this the Red Legion Scions? Or maybe I'm hoping they're going to bring in more than just the Red Legion in. Let's bring in the others and not just focus on one and see what we have. We saw some promise with that in some of the other story content that we got to see.
Yeah,
but
we did.
We'll see.
Now, there are those out there floating, so, talking about different, I guess, basically classes of the Cabal or different breeds of the Cabal. We saw some that were very large and tanky, and this was my question. Instantly, the big tank Cabals that have got the shield, if you're supposed to protect yourself and you've got a big laser beam shield that you stick out in front of you, why would you have an off button that gets put in the front of it that you can just shoot and it turns off?
Well, for all the gaming out there, something has to be fair about that. Though, to be fair, it did take me a long time to figure out that was actually an off button. I was like rolling grenades around the shield, or flanking them. So,
I think you were the one who pointed it out finally, because the rest of the group were like, hey, maybe we can flank them. We were trying to jump over the top of them, and then somebody was like, hey, there's a off button here. You just shoot it and it goes down.
I think I was bullet hosing them, and all of a sudden the shield just died, and I realized I was actually doing DPS damage right in the middle of it. So,
but see, that just goes to show the amount of attention to detail that I think Bungie gives their games. It's simple little pieces like that. That may be very small to some people, but to me, that goes, hey, I want users to experience something. I want them to be a part of this. It's something they have to discover. It's nothing that we're just going to give them. You've got to discover how to do that. And that's what I've always loved about what Bungie's done with Destiny, and really hoping that they continue that trend in Destiny 2 with all the little secrets and nuances that you have to do. My original point back to those different breeds of Cabal, there were some different videos out there on the PlayStation content that was coming. And one of the maps that they were getting for PvP had kind of a hive-ish feel to it, but then they also were getting a specific strike for the PlayStation. I do not remember the name of it. It had something to do with the Black Lakes or the Dark Lakes or something like that. Definitely it was in the European dead zone. You could just tell by all the trees and kind of the earthy feel it had. But the Taken were back. There were Taken captains, and it looked like they operated differently. So I hope that we get to see more than just Cabal. I hope it's not one of those where we're going to see Cabal, we go to the raid and we get Gary, and then we're done. I hope there's more to it. Bungie in the very first was not known the best for being concise with their story. They had trouble pinning things down and putting it together. It became piecemealed. We've still got a bunch of stuff out there, I think, from Destiny 1 that people are like, I just don't care anymore because we're not going to do anything with it. But things like the Stranger. Bungie comes back and says, hey, we're done with that storyline. It was finished. They never really, to me, finished much of it, because was she a Guardian? Was she not? Was she a Vex? Was she something else? And they just kind of left it hanging. So I really hope that they've learned from that mistake, and now they go, hey, we've got a plan to bring in this new era of Bungie. We're going to have content that comes out on a regular basis. So we've got the game that comes out here in like 20 or 30 days. That's a ton of content to burn through. And then December, I don't know the specific date, we've got our first DLC package with Osiris coming out. Less than 2.5 months away from game release, we've already got our first DLC package.
Yeah, that's what kind of worries me, referencing Gary, is that, or Gull and the Emperor, spoiler. Most cases, you kind of have with something as big as this, when you get attacked or something like that, it leaves to suspense if you don't reveal the main villain. Um,
Well, and that's why I question if Gary is really our main bad guy.
yeah,
Uh, it's just there's no climax there really. There's no peak. If you look at any good fantasy novel or science fiction novel or horror novel, there's always peaks and valleys in the books, right? Because it builds the reader up, and then it goes, hey, bam, I'm going to hit you with this huge little chunk of nugget of story. And we learned about Gary in what, like the second reveal trailer that we learned for Destiny 2 and when it was coming out.
yep.
We didn't get to see him in like full blown armor, but hey, his name's Gaul. Okay, so he's the bad guy. All he is a big cabal. I'm playing him down right now. I'm sure he's crazy and he's going to be extremely hard to kill. But what I kind of hope is Gary isn't the main bad guy. I hope Gary is, yeah, he's a general of the army and he's a bad A, and he's going to be extremely hard to kill. But to me, there's got to be something else that's leading him. And I think that's the console. That's my opinion. So we learned that the spoiler alert, guys. If you haven't been paying attention for the last few months, here's a spoiler for you. Gaul, or Gary, is now the emperor of the Cabal because he, by military force, took over from the emperor. And there's this other thing out there called the console that is basically Gary's mentor, right? So people are saying, hey, the console, nobody really knows what this thing might be. Some people have said it may be Rasputin. It may be another race that we've never seen. But to me, the way they've got this thing set up, Gary's going to be freaking hard to kill. I think he's going to be in the raid, but I think there's something else out there. And that's going to be our main bad guy.
Yeah, and it goes into, of all the enemies we faced so far, for one, out of the blue, he comes and basically raffle stomps the Guardians. The entire tower in one swift move. There's no talking about, there's no warning. It just happens. The Taken King couldn't do it. Crota couldn't do it. The Vex couldn't do it. And here's the Cabal with Gaul leading them, and boom, it's done, over. But he doesn't destroy. All the others, they wanted to destroy the Guardians. They wanted to get rid of them. But Gaul wanted the light. He's jealous over the Guardians,
right,
for having the light. We only see that type of jealousy in, say, the Fallen, because they once, according to the lore, had the light.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see the story now taking that form, and that the light's not gone; it's just been taken. So
yeah. So you brought up a good point with being jealous. So if I'm going back to my points of kind of writing books here, if you read a good suspense novel and there's jealousy that's brought in, there's different things that happen with that, and it changes that character over time. And usually what you see, like maybe a couple of brothers, and the older brother is soon to be king when dad passes away, and younger brother becomes jealous because older brother may not be the best fit for being a king. Younger brother is, and it becomes that jealous fight of, you're not good enough for this. But then you've also got types where that jealousy creates a murderous intention, and that person goes to basically wipe out whatever is stopping them from having what they want. Gaul's, to me, from what I've heard, if you watch the opening trailer, when he says, let me reintroduce you to fear, to me, that's not somebody who's trying to wipe out a race. To me, that's somebody who is trying to say, I'm the big bad guy, and I now own you. I've taken your light away. You're going to serve me.
Well, I mean, he even said, you're not afraid of death, and he said, let me reintroduce you. He's rubbing it in the Guardian's face that he has a light, and also, he didn't just outright obliterate the Guardian. He just tossed them aside like they were nothing anymore. So.
And that brings up a whole other point too. So with them being kicked away, the Cabal have created this spherical object that puts a force field around the Traveler. So that brings up a couple of points. One, the Cabal knew what the Traveler did to the Guardians. And that message came. Here's another spoiler if you guys didn't know this from Destiny 1. It came because in one of the missions in Destiny 1, when you actually go fight against the Taken on the Cabal ship, the Cabal are trying to figure out what these Taken are, and one of the generals of the Cabal army gets taken. And it was him, and I cannot remember his name, it was him that actually sent a distress call to the Emperor of the Cabal. If you read through the lore and the Grimoire cards of that specific strike, it talks about how the Cabal have encountered this being that can regenerate its health and it doesn't die, and they can't kill it. And it's because of, they think it's because of this Traveler. It was a pretty cool piece. So I like how they've brought that back, and now we seem to have this split between the tower. We've taken what humanity knew as the most powerful being we've ever seen, the Traveler. He created life, and now he gave back to people, and he brought people back from the dead, and they became these Guardians. And now they seem to be split. They're all over this planet. The tower's no longer. And now we've got Guardians that are being kicked off of this Cabal ship. What happens to these Guardians? That's the piece that we didn't really get to see a whole lot of in this first mission. And I like that because it keeps the suspense up for the story. But how do these Guardians get their light back? We've already seen that we still have some skills. Where are these weapons coming from? And these, I'm just talking out loud because my brain is going nuts with all these different questions, right? And it makes you wonder, did Bungie want Destiny originally to have more of the MMO RPG feel to it? The large open world, I want there to be a tank, I want there to be a healer class, I want there to be a crowd control class, and I want them to have multiple points to go talk to different NPCs, to pick up quests, to have turn-ins. And I really feel like that's what Destiny 2 is turning into. We have seen a healing class now with the Warlock. We've seen a true tank come in with the Titan. That sucker was pretty hard to kill. Honestly, he's got the shields, especially with the the crazy Captain America shield. And I really feel like the stuff that they did with the Hunter was a pretty good crowd control overall. Now they're talking about different worlds that we might be able to explore, having different NPCs to go talk to. So I really like that fact that we might actually get to see some of this MMO style gameplay come in.
Yeah, and the MMO, I think they're moving in a good direction too, especially community-based, linking up. They started it in D1. They're capitalizing on D2 some more. But the RPG part is going to be interesting because, each one of us relates to our Guardian. We are, whether what we choose to do, even though it's just like the guy next to us sometimes, and sometimes the exact same armor and shaders and everything, it's your Guardian. But there was an immersion break in that beginning story, I feel. And that had to do with really at the very end when you lost your light, your ghost falls to the ground, and Gull kicks you to the edge of the ramp and your ghost goes falling off, and your Guardian, I fully expected some type of voice to say no or something like that, even in a whisper, but nothing. He just reaches out towards the ghost as it falls down, miles down to the city. So, and yes, our Guardian didn't talk a whole lot in D1, but he did talk some. He or she did talk some and made some jokes.
Yeah, there were some good funny moments with that.
So
yeah, the no voice acting or apparent no voice acting so far is to me a little bit worrisome. It's not the biggest plot killer for a story, but I think most people, when they play Destiny, they don't relate to their character because of what they say. They relate to their character because of its looks, how they play in PvP and PvE. Let's look at the Destiny community. If you take big picture, not Destiny community as in just every person that plays, but you look at the social media Destiny community, the YouTubers, the streamers, the people that make up the face of how Destiny is perceived, per se. Each one of them have a persona that goes behind them. You start talking about, my name is Bife. He's a lore master. He is known for his lore. And he's also known for being a warlock. He has a very specific look to him. He has a very specific way about doing things. And I think that's really what made Destiny stand out is, yes, we may not have any voice acting, but I think those players are still going to capitalize on, look at the way that my character plays, look at the way he functions. And to me, this is across the board in any game. I think people pick characters based on how they feel their personality fits them.
Oh, absolutely. Completely agree. And they could very well play it in such a way that the ghost is your voice and does all the talking for you. We saw a lot of that in The Taken King. And
he was there to open doors, man.
He was there to open doors. In all the talking that went on there, he was our voice, and it looks like he'll continue to be that way. And some games have pulled it off. We'll see if Bungie puts in the exact amount of dialogue needed there, and no wrong position. Like your guardian really needed to talk at that point. Not another ghost falling off cliff, because the ghost couldn't really speak to you at that point. We'll see if they can pull it off.
Yeah, I think what they gave us was absolutely perfect. I think it was enough for us to go wow and have that factor and get enough of the gameplay that we really got sucked into the world. But it wasn't so much that we got to see all the little tricks and the special pieces that Bungie likes to do. So overall, for me, the big right off the bat, if we're talking about the first mission, A+ all the way across. If it's a 1 to 10, it's like a 15 in my book. The game, the way it sits right now, there's always things that could be improved. But for me, it was spot on. Going back and playing regular Destiny right now is like, ugh, really, this is old Destiny. This is like so bad. I don't even want to play it right now. I just want to go play Destiny 2. That's all I want to
do. I mean, yeah, we're dealing with a aged product. It's like being given a Ferrari or something. Hey, go drive this around. Okay, well, you're done. Let's go back to my measly sports car now. You gotta
go drive your Honda Civic. Okay.
Yeah. Still good, but it's not the new thing. And absolutely agree. The story, what they got us hooked on for that is fantastic. They cut it off at what I think is the perfect point for those that played the beta to want to continue that story. And honestly, I never had that in any of D1 that where I was like, I really need to play the next story mission. There wasn't a whole lot of that. It never had that feel to it. I needed to find out what happened. Like some RPG games out there where I just like, one more mission. I need to know what the story does.
About 8 hours later, you're like, dang, that was like 14 missions ago.
Yeah.
It's 2 in the morning. Yeah,
I'm feeling that with D2. And hopefully we'll continue that with every single story mission where you want to see how the story comes out. It's not just run in, shoot guys, do this. It's you're pushing along the survival of the Guardians. So
yeah, I totally agree. Now, I do have to say there are some rants coming up, guys. So I apologize for me being a little salty on these next couple of topics, but if I wasn't opinionated, then my friends would not call me salty, and I can salty sometimes. So this next little topic, we're going to talk about the strikes, okay? We're going to talk about the strike that we were given for the beta and all the nonsense that we had to do. Even though it was a lot of fun, I still have a rant to talk about. And my rant, even though Bungie has said, hey, we're going to fix those things, and I love that they're listening to people, and I like that Bungie has said, we wanted to do the beta because we wanted live real-time feedback from our community. And you almost never hear of a game company going, I want to know what you guys think needs to be fixed in the game. Now, there's some stuff that I still don't think is going to be fixed right off the bat. It's pretty much a final product. It is going to soon be wrapped in pretty packaging and delivered to the stores, and soon be on our digital content to go and play. But here's my first rant. We got the crazy strike. It had some cool mechanics, but it seemed like we were playing in slow motion. It seemed like when we went in, PvE had been nerfed almost. To me, it felt as though I was given a big, brand new, shiny Guardian that had all these bells and whistles, and I could go and I could shake my finger at the bad guys and go, you're gonna die. That's how I felt when I played the strike. I really did. To me, it felt like it was a one-on-one gun battle against PvE bad guys that were really big, and they got all these big shiny things, and they got to shoot at us, and I had these pea shooters. Supers were almost non-existent in PvE. Heavy ammo was almost non-existent in PvE. And the speed of PvE, to me, it just didn't feel fast and flashy. And, oh my God, I'm a Guardian. Look how strong I am. I'm just going to go kill everything. Now, let me preface that with saying we're used to playing Destiny 1, where we can go into a strike and we basically one-shot crap now. And we get supers every 5 seconds, and we grenade stuff all the time. So I'm trying to say what we're comparing is not apples to apples. Destiny 2 is a brand new game. So my rant is kind of over because Bungie came back and said, hey, we're going to increase the ammo drop rate for heavy, and we're also going to increase the speed of how your supers recharge in PvE. Now, this ties into a little bit more because Bungie has done this since the get-go of this game. If you have PvE and PvP, which people love, you have PvPers who are hardcore PvPers, and that's all they are. And then you have hardcore PvEers that still like to go and casually play some PvP. But Bungie has always taken those two dynamics of the game, and they've tied them together for whatever reason. So if you have a strike and your PvE, your guns are awesome, your supers are awesome, then your PvP lacks because that's got to be nerfed a little. You don't want to just go into the PvP and be this super cannon that kills people every 5 seconds. It's not fair. But now it seems what they've done is they've buffed PvP and they've nerfed PvE. What I would actually like to see Bungie do is separate those two, and all your weapons, all your supers, all your ammo, all your abilities function a little bit differently in PvE than they do PvP. PvP being a separate topic, we'll get to that soon. But to me, it just feels that if I go into a PvE match, I should feel like a Guardian. I shouldn't feel like a human with an AR-15 against this space alien, and that's all I've got. And that's kind of how I felt during these strikes.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely some weapons in there that I felt were underpowered for what you were trying to do, and I kept going back to a couple very high impact weapons that got the job done. Completely agree on the ammo drop and the recharge rate, not just for supers, but for grenades and melees. You know, I got to one point when using the hunter, I was dodging and grenading, but well, I used the dodge up. It's done. Done over. Your recharge rate's not going to help you for a little while.
Yeah, like 5 years later, you finally got another grenade that you could throw.
Right. And it did help that you were killing people, so that did, killing things, so that it helped with your recharge rate, but it didn't felt like it was enough. Going into the supers themselves in the strike, I playing the hunter, and then I shifted over and played playing the Titan, and then shifted over and played some Warlock. Those two I felt had some very good PvE new additions. Specifically, you had the Titans now Barricade, which was fantastic to be able to hide behind, pop up, unload your weapon, pop down, pop, and instantly back up, and your magazine is reloaded, which was amazing when using the exotic auto rifle. I don't know if you can call a minigun an auto rifle that the Titans get.
Yeah.
I could just bullet hose everything, and it was ridiculous. And with the Warlock, you have the healing aura that they can drill down, which can be either healing or damage buff, but that really helped a lot. So I saw those as leaning in a good direction for stuff that we'll start to see and start to use in raids and all that.
Very team oriented, it felt, and I like that feature. The hunter, not so much. I think for PvE, there were specific aspects, like you said, the Titan's barricade function. Getting that wall, whether it was a small one that you could pop up and look over, or it was a large one to kind of protect people around a corner or have a hiding spot for a little bit, that became very useful. The Warlock, as long as they use their healing aura or damage buff, the empowerment feature for that class skill, it became very well-rounded as a team. To me, the one or two times that I played the Strike as my hunter, that I really felt like he was able to contribute something was when he did have his super as an Arc Strider, and there was a large mass of mobs, and I could pop that and just obliterate the mobs pretty much instantly. But outside of that, as a team function, he was literally just an extra hand to have more DPS. There was no team function that he really did unless he had his super.
Yeah, I mean he was a lone gunman for most of the PvE match itself. Moving away from what we saw as the gunplay, and that's what PvE delved into, was just a whole lot of gunplay. You shot things a lot instead of using your skills, kind of mix it up a little bit. We'll see if they adjust that and adjust it in the right way to make it all balance out.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Destiny is a looter and shooter. If you're not shooting things, you're not going to loot nothing, and that's the key mechanic to the game. I definitely have to say the game overall, absolutely freaking beautiful game. The color schemes, the interaction, the way the worlds looked. I mean, Nessus, the colors that Nessus had, it was just kind of mesmerizing. You spawned in. There were matches where I know we all spawned in, and we just kind of went and explored around because it was so pretty. I think that right there is definitely noteworthy for the game. I'm anxious to see the other worlds and how things look. The way the Guardians look even kind of has that impressive, mesmerizing feel to me now.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be the nice thing about having Destiny 2 on the next gen consoles, is that what we call next gen, current gen consoles, instead of having to build stuff on last gen, is they're going to be able to include so much more scenery, so much more high resolution things, and you saw a taste of that with the Strike missions, with just the beginning story mission that we had, and how much you could see, how much you could go through and play through, how much extra they could include into it that the system could handle.
Yeah, I think between the new consoles that we've got, and now we're getting this game on PC as well, it's going to be a little bit before I do get it on PC, but I'll definitely be running console for Xbox, and I will end up getting the PC as well. I started first-person shooters on PC. I didn't start them on console. Back in the day when things like Quake and Quake 3 Arena, and back in the competitive Halo days, I played Quake 3 Arena tournaments on the PC. So that I'm anxious to get back to that realm, and I'm really anxious to see that too in an uncapped frame rate with the processing power that we've got nowadays with PCs. just how clean the game looks that I've seen on the high def videos. It looks freaking amazing.
Yeah, and we'll see if they capitalize on keep it going with all the scenery and all the increase in graphics to assist, and kind of like the cherry on top to what we hope is good story and continue with good gun gameplay.
Yeah, I really do like what they've done with a lot of the weapons in the game right now. The one thing that kind of worries me, and I'm curious to see what they do with it, is the grind that we had in Destiny 1 for finding that God-rolled weapon, right? We wanted something for PvP. Then there was a roll out there for it, like wonderful scout rifle that had Firefly, and it had explosive rounds, and it also had triple tap on it if we wanted it. Then we could go and we could grind for something, and that kept people coming back over and over and over. Now, at the end of Destiny 1, they kind of gave us some freebies, and they pulled in the rotating perks. Well, Destiny 2, that's out the window. They've already said there's not going to be any rotating perks on weapons. There's going to be static perks, but we get mod slots now. We apparently get a lot of mod slots in our weapons from the beta. There were a ton of open slots, everything from your shaders and the way you could customize your weapon to mods that were arc damage and void damage and solar damage. And I like that. But what other kind of mods do we get? Will there be stability perks, be range perks? How many of those can we put on a weapon? How customizable can those weapons really be? And my question surrounding that is, how customizable are the exotics? Because right now, the exotic perks are crap, in my opinion. They just did not feel good. They felt very underwhelming in the game. The only exotic that I really even liked, and it was still just kind of meh, was the Sunburst. Yes, the Hunter hand cannon. It looked amazing. It had a crazy cool function. The perks on it, though, were just kind of vague in what they did. Like the hand grip, it said solid hand grip for a little more stability and better accuracy. But really nothing past that said, hey, this is, as an exotic, I'm an exotic, I'm special. You had to grind for me. I'm going to go do this function for you. To me, some of the legendaries that we got in the game felt way better than the exotics.
Yeah, and that's what they'll need to balance when it comes to the exotics themselves is, if we're not going to have a lot of RNG, we need to have something that's going to cause us to grind, and then that grind needs to be worth it. One thing that comes to mind in D1 that I enjoyed the grind to because I knew the reward would be that worth it was the 3 sword quests that we were able to do. I knew that when I got those exotics, they were worth it. And they need to do that. They need to make the exotics, I think, a grind. That way it allows for the RNG that allows us to do stuff in our downtime. And they also need to make each of those exotics worth it. They need to make them powerful. They need to have a characteristic D1, which so far it looks like Destiny's nailed that with every single exotic that they have. Right there with you with our D2 exotics. Some of them were underwhelming, like the SMG for the Warlock. Never used it.
Yeah, I never used it. It just did not feel good at all. It felt very underwhelming. So yeah. I'm curious to see what they do. We're talking about the SMG. I didn't use a lot of the SMGs in the game because it was something new. They just didn't feel good. I used kind of what I liked. And the pulse rifle, the Nightshade pulse rifle, to me, was an absolutely godly feeling weapon. I mean, it felt like an exotic should feel to me.
Oh yeah, I mean, and then also it was rolls that we were used to being with too, and what was on,
That's very true.
Full auto, and, a couple other stability stats on it, and it was used to what we're playing with too, and so that's why I kind of went to it, except for I kind of grabbed a couple others as well. Especially in talking about PvP, finding out which weapons were actually good, and you start to see right towards the end of the beta, you started seeing certain weapons be used by a lot of Guardians playing.
Yeah, you definitely saw people kind of falling in their sweet spots and what they liked. For me, I've always been snipers, scout rifles. I loved hand cannons back in D1. I never really cared for auto rifles. They're fun to play with, but I enjoyed scout rifles. I always have. Back in the Halo days, it was the DMR. I love the DMR. Back in Destiny 1, it was pretty much any scout rifle I could get my hands on. But going into Destiny 2, the scout rifle felt good, but it didn't feel like it could close the gap on a kill as well as, say, the pulse rifle did. The pulse rifle to me just felt good. It felt comfortable. It felt like it closed the gap on the kills really well. And then the function that I did like is I've only got like three shots left in this pulse rifle. I'll shoot them. I'll take their shields down. I can instantly switch over to now my main other primary weapon. Maybe it was an auto rifle. Maybe it was a scout rifle, whatever it was. It was like an instant switch, and I was right back to having ammo, which was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, talk about the different weapons itself, and talking about the heavies. I really wanted to use the grenade launcher. I saw it, I equipped it immediately. I wanted to use it, and I did, and I died a lot with the grenade launcher because it was junk.
Yeah, it was trash.
It was junk. I had a guy dead stick. I'd just popped, heavy ammo. Ran up to him. I had to put all 4 grenades into him before he died. Now, he was a Titan, so he does have an extra armor on there. Probably running very armor heavy. Actually, he was. So that probably played into it, but it never seemed like I get a single kill with it. Now, when I finally was able to get a good fusion, it would get the fusion and get the sniper rifle. Fusion wrecked.
The fusion rifle, oh my gosh, yes.
It wrecked. And the sniper rifle played just like any sniper rifle out there. Headshot, boom, you're done. Yeah. It was very fluid, though, very, very snapshotty.
Felt very crispy.
Very, very crispy to it. So, but all the others, I never got the rocket launcher, but it kind of seemed underwhelming being that you got 1 rocket, which was a good thing because I always knew they were out of ammo after that first one. But it always delved down to a fusion and sniper rifle, which is a funny thing to say about using heavy ammo.
With and you're playing with the fusion rifle.
Yeah, you're playing with the fusion rifle, but it turned the tide. And we'll see if they keep that going with the fusion rifles, if there'll be that heavy per se use of them.
Yeah, they were pretty much on spot. And to be honest, I really enjoyed the shotgun as well. When we were playing Countdown, the Countdown maps, the way it functioned and just that whole feel, even in the PvE, if you got a large bob and you needed to clear a few guys out, that shotgun that dropped, it was a Suros shotgun. I can't not remember that, but it hit hard and it had a large magazine. The perks on it were good, and I really liked that. So for the strikes, between the way the supers functioned, again, we talked about the supers feeling a little bit underwhelming. I think they felt good when we got them, and they functioned really well. We just didn't get a charge on them very fast. So sometimes I didn't even get a full super if we ran a strike really fast. I think the recharge rate, it was very underwhelming for any of your class skills and your grenades like we talked about. So I'm glad Destiny is changing and Bungie is changing that, and they're bringing some of those in, and they listen to their community and they listen to what people really wanted for a game, and instead of just being bull-nosed and going, no, this is the game, this is what you're going to get, suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll make the right changes where they need to make them, especially to change out the PvE to PvP and differentiate those. We talked about in PvP with the recharge rates for one. Yes, you did nerf the grenades.
Yeah.
The melees were kind of underwhelming at times as well. But my goodness, did you have to affect the recharge rate so much? It felt like I threw a grenade and it wasn't until half a match later that I got a grenade back as well. And let alone, it wouldn't do anything. You could probably stand in the fire and not die from it.
Yeah. And me and you talked about this previously. To me, the grenades have now been turned into a secondary flushing utility. You've got somebody hiding in a corner. They're trying to recharge their shields that take 10 years to recharge, and you've got a couple of grenades. The two that really stood out to me that worked well were the Hunter's grenades that tracked.
Yep.
And the lightning grenade from the Titan. They felt good. They felt strong. And they felt like I actually saw damage coming off of people enough on their shields that if they did finally come out of cover, I could tap them a few times with a weapon and they were done. And I liked that feature. I think Bungie did a good job of taking the crazy grenade charge rates that we had from D1 in year 3 and all the sticky nades, the sticky nades. They got to go bye-bye. And I hope they never return.
Well, I mean, they did two things, and they could have easily just done one of them. So they decreased the recharge rate and decreased the damage of the grenades themselves. So I think stickies have their own place, but if you're going to decrease the recharge rate like you did, then leave the damage. I mean, that one sticky for that half the match, yeah, it's gonna kill the guy, but he's not gonna get a stick again.
Right.
It's not like we had in D1 where very well in the next 15 seconds, by the time you go run against that guy again, he's got another sticky.
Yeah. Or, if we've got exotic perks in D2 like what we had for Destiny 1, the Titan, for example, we've got multiple different pieces of exotic armor that give us buffs on our recharge rates, but we also had things like Fellwinter. Fellwinter, off the bat, it took your super away, but it gave you immediate double grenades, no matter what. And then you had pieces like the Armamentarium. Armamentarium, no matter what subclass you were running, whether it was Void, whether it was a Striker Titan, it didn't matter. You guys had instant 2 grenades right off the bat. Now, if we get stuff like that for D2, I think that is going to be where people really get into the game and they go, wow, look what this armor can do for my recharge rates. Look what it can do for my customization. And I hope that's what we get, because it plays into that MMO feel that me and you really like. We've played MMOs for years. We now have a game that I think I love even more than some of the old school MMOs that I loved, that we might get some armor and say, hey, look at these class abilities that we can now attach to this armor and customize it the way we want.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll start to see different types of playstyles if those armors do happen. Different types of playstyles come into PvP, and we start to utilize them as a team differently. I can't even think of an example, but being able to put people in certain spots and have their roles for that instance. Talking about like a World of Warcraft arena. You had your healer there, you had your crowd controlled guy, and you had a couple of the DPS guys, but they each had their role and they had to stick to it, and you can target down certain people depending on what you saw going on. And that goes into the team play and how the two game types that we played, we saw a modification for one, new game type, countdown, and then 2, control, which control was changed to increase the speed in what you had to do. Before, in control, you could take an objective and not have to worry about it because, for one, you had to neutralize it, and then 2, you had to capture it. So you could go and leave it alone and go off and shoot some dudes before you even have to worry about comeback, even if an enemy was there. But now, it seemed like the whole capture point, it was increased due to you don't have to neutralize anymore. It just captures it. So you're constantly running all over the map. Or you play together and you capture two and you just kind of sit there. You get your kills in as you can. So that was a good adjustment. And Countdown itself, try and playing that solo by yourself, you're going to lose. You're
Oh,
gonna lose
absolutely.
unless you're good at killing people and keeping them off. But more than likely, the team is just as good as you. And without a team, it's going to fail. It's going to fail miserably, as most of my games soloing did.
Yeah, soloing as a hunter. I think the hunter probably did a little bit better as a solo class in D2. The way he felt very PvP oriented, not so much PvE, but he felt very PvP oriented. He felt good. He felt a little underwhelming at times, mainly because. And here comes my other rant, guys. But here's my PvP rant about hunters. Okay. I told Victus I was going to do this, and he was like, okay, whatever. But anyways, here's my rant. I love hunters. I will always be a hunter. I will always give Victus a hard time about being a Titan because they're Titans, okay? Hunters are they're better, all right? Here we go. All right. If you play a hunter and you played during the Destiny 2 game, I'm sure you guys probably saw what I saw. If you pull up a hunter and you look at their first information when you pick the thing, it says agile class. I'm sorry. I felt like I had lead weights on my feet and the Titan still ran faster. He has armor that weighs 300 pounds. I have cloth pants with a leather cape on. I should be able to fly like a ninja and jump around and do all kinds of kung fu moves. And even when I had, and here comes my other rant, this is back to the supers, okay? If I have a giant glowing electrical charge staff that makes me run slower, what good is it in PvP? I should be able to dodge, move, and close the gap faster because I'm a lighter class, and I should be able to move faster just by the whole point of the way body movement happens when you're not constricted by heavy armor. Not trying to get all technical here, but being in sports and functions and other things throughout my life, playing football, you can't move as good with big shoulder pads and heavy gear on as you can without it. It's just the way it works. So that was a little bit of a rant for me. The hunter just felt a little bit underwhelmed in the way he moved, but roundabout, he felt, I loved the hunter. He was a lot of fun.
And that's what I hope they really improve on is the hunter themselves. Because for one, the builds and the classes currently feel very PvP lone wolf. And two, the Titan is right off the bat, at least with the armor specs that we got and the armor that we started with, he was very tanky. He had a lot of abilities that were very tanky. He could hold down an objective because he has all the barricade shields. He has the defenders. Now he has a roaming super from the striker.
That was a blast to use, too.
And then coming in the Warlock is very utility based. He can chase away people very quickly. He is squishy to start off with, but he is also team oriented.
Yeah, definitely a team shot class. That's really. I played with the Warlock a few times and good, but it definitely to me felt like a healing class. They were squishy, but yet they are super functional in helping DPS, but they weren't a killing class per se. There were some funky things about the Warlock. The Dawnblade, wow. The Dawnblade was crazy good. Loved the way it functioned, loved the way it worked. The Nova Bomb, I was not as big a fan of. The one or two times that I finally did get a Nova Bomb, in fact, I think it was me and you were standing right there when it happened. It looked like somebody had thrown a slow motion beach ball and tried to throw it really hard across, and it was just kind of floating through the air. So to me, it kind of defeats the purpose of that class. You're supposed to be kind of a crowd control fast-paced moving. You're supposed to be with your team. You're supposed to help them heal. And your big, powerful supernova bomb goes like 0.5 miles an hour. So it felt weird. That class kind of felt weird to me.
Yeah. That one I think will need... I never played it right, but I think in looking at the settings, it has its own type of style to play with it to make it most successful. How you pull that about in PvP, I don't know, because there is an ability where you can shoot the Nova Bomb, and it explodes and release even more. I saw in some videos where that proved to be very successful, especially in PvP, but never able to pull it off. But I do think it needs just a little bit of adjustment, possibly in the speed itself or in how it acts.
Yeah, it was a little odd. Now, as that know me are going to shoot me for even saying this, but when I finally decided to start my Titan, I think it was day 3 of the beta, I absolutely freaking fell in love with the way it functioned, both in PvE, but more so in PvP. PvP, the Titan feels like an absolute beast of a tank, and they were blasted hard to kill. They were fast, they were agile, the one thing I didn't like is what I noticed anyways, the barricade walls became a panic button for a lot of people. So if you're running with your team and somebody breaks off, say the Titan broke off and he is almost down, his shields are off, I noticed a lot of Titan go panic mode and they would pop that shield really quick and they would die anyways. So now the function of the Titan is supposed to be your tank. You're protecting your team members. You're supposed to be the front pack taking the bullets, setting up barricades for your team to help take over control points or set up a barricade so people can grab certain things. And I felt like people abusing it is not the right word. That's not the right word. Over panicking and just hitting the button to pop up the skill to think it's going to kill somebody, because D2 is so team oriented. If I was to set and go, I want to rank how I played in PvP, Hunter's always going to be my main, but the Titan came out number 1 in PvP. He felt the best out of everybody. He was well-rounded. If we had the beta to do over, play again, guys, I would have totally rolled a Titan right off the bat and gone and played Countdown all day long. The Titan was legit in Countdown. He was hard to kill, and with that barricade, oh my gosh, it was hard to get around that thing. The Hunter in Countdown, the way he moved and his shade step, though underwhelming, was still a ton of fun. But for all my Warlock friends out there, forget it. I won't roll a Warlock in D2 when it first rolls. It just did not feel good at all to me.
Yeah, see, I actually rolled and played very well with the Warlock itself due to the fact that the blink.
The blink was fun.
I could just mess people up because I just blink away, and I could move across the map very quickly with that. So we'll see. That I did the best with the Warlock too.
Yeah, I'm definitely, out of all the classes, I'm ready for the Titan. I'm ready for the Hunter. One thing that kind of worries me a little bit about PvP, the change in the pace of the gameplay. We went from Destiny 1 being oriented at 6v6, right? It is a lot of people. It is a lot of chaos. And now we have said, you've played this game for 3 years. We're going to throw a monkey wrench in the bucket. We're going to take it down to 4v4. We're going to increase the game rate. It's going to be fast-paced, but we're going to throw in the monkey wrench of you now have to be very team-oriented to kill people. That's the biggest thing that I noticed with 4v4 is you had to be intentional with your headshots. You had to be intentional at where you were, because you were going to get cornered, you were going to get cross-mapped, you were going have multiple shooting you from different angles. And as a team, I noticed especially us, we always did pretty well at communicating where we were, but we've also got a lot of lone wolves and runners and gunners on our team. And that's something we noticed a lot of from our side, guys, was when we spawned in, our runners and gunners, they treated it just like Destiny 1. They would run off, they would go find their first guy, and they would go one-on-one gun battles. And if you can't close the gap on a one-on-one gun battle at Destiny 2, your team will always lose, no matter how good your team shots are on the other side, because you're going to have that guy that is always dying because he's losing his one-on-one gun battles.
Yeah, I mean, I was worried about the whole 4v4 as well, but if you add in the correct team play, it's very fast paced and very fluid.
Yeah, very fluid. Yeah, the overall function of how everything played was very smooth. Keep PvP just like it is. Don't touch it, please, Bungie. Just give us some supers and a little bit faster of a recharge rate on our grenades, so that maybe we get like one more grenade instead of just one for the entire match, and maybe we actually get to use our super in somewhere besides the end of the match when we've only got 30 seconds left, and then you see on your screen everybody popping their supers at once. Okay, rant done.
Yeah, and that's what it delved into, and we can hold hope that what we were playing was actually several month old build of Destiny 2, and what they already have updated is going to change a lot of it, but we'll see come September 6th. So
yeah, I'm anxious. Anxious is not even a good word. I'm beyond anxious to finally get hands on it. I've got some time off as we talked yesterday to stream and look at all the goodies. So yeah, I'm super pumped for this game. This is definitely going to be probably the biggest AAA game of the year. I don't know of anything else that would probably even come close to capping what Destiny 2 is going to do. There are a few other games out there that I've got pre-ordered that are coming, but for me, D2 will probably be my main focus for the rest of the game year, guys.
Yeah, me too. It's gonna be one of the major games I play as well.
So overall, I think Destiny 2 beta, like I said, if it's a 1 out of 10, it was a 15 in my book. A+, Bungie. You guys did a fantastic job with the game. I am super stoked for when everything gets here. I can't wait to jump in with the guys and play. We have been going back and forth about clan names and trying to get everything locked down. We had quite a few different names. I still wanted Clint Eastwood and the Space Pirates, but we couldn't get it, so we finally settled on Bad Dad Jokes. So if you guys have ever played with us, and we've played with a few people out there before, so you guys know us. We literally are a bunch of dads. We've all got kids. We've all got that quirky personality. So that's it, guys. I hope you all really enjoyed the show, because we had a ton of fun recording it.
And we look forward to playing with each of you when D2 releases.
Yeah, so you guys stay on the lookout. We will definitely be up to date with everything we can get our hands on. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week and start to everything you guys have going on. I hope you are just as excited as we are. We would love to hear from you, so drop us a note down in the comments below. Like the video, subscribe if you guys are brand new, because it does help the channel grow. You can find us out on our social media. Over on Twitter for me is @DetachedGaming.
You can like and follow me over on Twitter at Victus Dark Arrow.
Yep, so we hope to see you guys out on the social spaces really soon. You guys stay tuned to the channel, because we will have a ton more content coming very soon. But that wraps up the video for today and the podcast for Destiny 2. I hope you guys have an amazing evening. You all stay awesome, and we will see you guys in the next episode.